Oh, please forgive me. I was just finishing my prayers. I believe you're interested in hearing about my life. My name is Mary Helen MacKillop. I was born on January the 15th in 1842 in my family's home in Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. I was the first of 8 children and I started working at the age of 14. At 18 I was sent to Penola to become the governess for my aunt and uncle's children. It was there that I met Father Julian Woods. We shared a vision to educate the poor. I moved to other teaching positions, but we maintained contact. When living in Portland, he contacted me and asked if I would return to Penola to open the first Catholic school. In 1866, St. Joseph's opened in a disused stable. We taught practical skills, such as letter writing and adding grocery bills, as well as religion. That same year, at the age of 24, I abandoned secular clothing and dressed as a religious postulant. Father Woods dreamt of setting up an Australian order of nuns who would live as the poor, amongst them, and educate them. In 1867, Bishop Shiel of Adelaide approved the establishment of this order of nuns, and I became the first sister and Mother Superior of the Sisters of St. Joseph of the Sacred Heart. By the end of the first year, there were 10 more nuns, and 4 years later, 120 young women had taken their vows and joined the Sisters of St. Joseph. They were dispatched in 2s and 3s throughout the Australian colonies. At this time, Bishop Shiel had a commission investigate our order. One of the recommendations was that local priests should have authority over each convent. I wrote to Bishop Shiel expressing my concerns, and his response was to excommunicate me. He lifted it again 5 months later. In 1873, I travelled to Rome. I had to do this incognito. There was religious persecution at the time. I sought approval from Pope Pius IX for our order. I returned to Australia via Scotland and Ireland in 1874 and brought 15 Irish postulants with me. Some of the colonial bishops wanted our nuns under their control, but Rome supported a central government system with a superior general leading the order. In 1875, I became the first superior general. In the 1880s, the Sisters of St. Joseph had spread to Western Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, New Zealand, and the Furneaux Islands. After more agitation from colonial bishops, Rome formalised our order's independence, but to appease them, he appointed Mother Bernard as Superior General in 1888. This afforded me the opportunity to visit our sisters in far-off communities and help establish new schools in rural and remote areas. In 1895, I established a school on Deakin Island. As with all of our schools, it was aimed at the poor or working-class families. A number of the students were descendants of European sealers and Aboriginal women. Few of the residents were migrants, and so regarded us suspiciously initially, as they had never seen nuns before. They were curious about our attire and did not comprehend that we did not marry. There were few inhabitants of higher station on Deakin Island, but they too were welcome to send their children to our school if they wanted. Ours is an egalitarian approach, and all are welcome. There is much that we learned from the islanders. The food available here is quite different from that of the mainland. Few crops are grown, but there is food indigenous to the area. The locals willingly share their knowledge and often their catch with us in return for educating their children. They harvest mutton birds and their eggs when they are in season, and source a lot of food from the sea. We are thankful for their communal attitude, as we are so isolated on the island. Life is basic compared to the mainland. It is as though progress is yet to reach Deakin Island. The locals live a hand-to-mouth existence, but we are so grateful that they welcomed us into their midst. It was with a heavy heart that I left the small community on Deakin Island and returned to the mainland, but I was recalled by my fellow nuns who, after the death of Mother Bernard in 1898, were for the first time able to elect their own Superior General. In this role, I oversaw the establishment of a teaching school where all our sisters trained before they were sent off. In the early 1900s, the Sisters of St. Joseph were educating over 10,000 students across Australia and New Zealand. A small number of these were on Deakin Island. Now, you must excuse me. It's time for Holy Mass.